Well, welcome to the fourth in our series of Easter reflections in 2021. We're looking at John's Gospel and his account of Jesus' death on the cross. Can I encourage you, if you haven't already read John 19, 25 to 27, to pause the video and to read through those few verses now. Well, we've been seeing, as we've been going through John's Gospel, that John is talking about the same events, the death of Jesus on the cross, but he gives us different perspectives on that death. He misses out some of the things that other Gospel writers put in, and he adds things in that other Gospel writers don't put in. And probably the most important and crucial thing he adds in is this event that we're looking at today, with Jesus talking to his mother and to the disciple whom he loved. And actually, it's the last act of Jesus before he dies on the cross. It's the last thing he'll do for other people. And so this event that only appears in John's Gospel, John gives a special significance to, a real importance to. This really matters. And actually, the next verse that we haven't read says, later, knowing that everything had been finished. There's a sense in which what Jesus does here is the finishing point of all he's about. Somehow what he's doing here shows us the real significance of what he's seeking to achieve on the cross. So what's going on? Well, first of all, let's look at the characters that are introduced here. We have 3 or 4 women. It's not quite clear exactly how many. We're not sure about whether Mary, the wife of Cleopas, is also Jesus' mother's sister. Could be the same person, or it could be 2 different people. But there's 3 or 4 women. But the 2 important women are Mary, who's the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalene. And the mother of Jesus, Mary, she's only ever mentioned once, really, properly elsewhere in the Gospel. She appears when Jesus turns the water into wine. And that's a significant event as well, because it is right at the beginning, really, of the Gospel accounts. John calls it the first sign that Jesus does. And it's also the point where Jesus says to his mother, "My hour has not yet come." And as we go through John's Gospel, we've seen that the hour that Jesus talks about is the hour of his death. The moment when he dies on the cross, but also encapsulating his resurrection and ascension afterwards. Now Jesus is at that hour, and now Mary is here again. And the other woman that's important is Mary Magdalene. She's not mentioned actually before in John's Gospel. It's the first time she appears. But when it comes to the resurrection, she is the real key focus of the first resurrection account in John's Gospel in John chapter 20. And she is the first person to see Jesus alive again after he was crucified. So just by mentioning these 2 women, in a way, John is drawing together all the signs that Jesus has done, from the first sign onwards, all the way through to the most important sign, the resurrection itself, that comes after the cross. In a way, he's giving the beginning and the end of the gospel. But there's another character as well. And it's a bit mysterious because he's described as the disciple whom Jesus loved. And he appears a lot in the last half of the gospel from John 13 onwards, and actually especially in the resurrection accounts again. And probably when you read John chapter 21, it looks like this is the writer of the gospel. This is John the apostle himself, who refers to himself not by name, but as the one whom Jesus loved. And the fact that this is John maybe explains partly why this event is in John's Gospel and not in the other Gospels. John wants to emphasize it because he was there. He was the eyewitness. But actually, this is an important event for John. We've been seeing how in John's Gospel we're shown that the cross is the foundation of the church. It's as Jesus dies and falls in his death that he gathers many disciples to be his followers. It is as Jesus is lifted up on the cross that he draws people from all over the world to be united in one people, one nation around Jesus Christ. It's in his death on the cross that he's building a new temple. A temple not of stones but of people. A new community where people can come to meet with God. And it's on the cross, as we've seen, in that reference to Psalm 22, that it pointed to the new brotherhood, the church. And it's that last point, that the idea of brotherhood, that's really developed here in this account, because this account is really all about a new family being formed by the cross. We see that this event is more than just Jesus caring for his mother. Yes, actually it's amazing that Jesus, as he dies on the cross, as he's suffering immensely, is concerned to look out for his mother and to entrust her to the beloved disciple, to John. But this is more about Jesus ensuring that Mary is cared for by John. There's something deeper, something more powerful happening here. And there's three things about the way the account is written that point us to that. Firstly, we need to ask, why is Jesus giving his mother to John? Now, it may be that John is is Mary's nephew, and there is a family connection there. But actually, Jesus has got a number of brothers, and by right, surely one of his younger brothers should take on the role of looking after his mother. It's a bit odd that Jesus is committing her to the care of John. And secondly, there's the way that Mary is referred to here. She's only ever called the mother of Jesus in John's Gospel. She's never called Mary. And in verse 26, in our translations, it says, when Jesus saw his mother. But actually in the Greek, it says when Jesus saw the mother. Now, it may be that our translations, being Protestant translations, are trying to avoid any idea of Mary being sort of this special person as Roman Catholics present her. But actually they're missing something here. She's the mother. There's a sense in which there's something more universal is happening here. It's not just about Jesus' personal relationship with his mother. Rather now Mary's given the title the mother. And then there's the way that Jesus describes the new relationship. He doesn't just say, hey John, look, I'm not going to be around any longer. Please look after my mum. That's what you might expect. No, there's more a sense of a pronouncement here. It's perhaps clearer in the old translation, in the King James Version. Maybe it gets the sort of sense and the emotion of the Greek more. Rather than saying, here is your son, to Mary, he says, woman, behold thy son. And he says to John, the beloved disciple, behold thy mother. This is more of a declaration. It's a bit like at a wedding when at the end of the ceremony, as the vows are being made, the vicar pronounces them as man and wife. What Jesus is doing here is saying, look, now you are mother and son. This is a moment of a new relationship being formed, a new relationship being declared, and it happens at the cross. The cross is creating this new family. And you see, I don't think it's really about declaring Mary to have this new, a special spiritual title. The mother is about this new relationship. And it's not just about Mary and John, it's about the new relationship that's going to be created for all the people of God. As John becomes a son of Mary, he becomes also the brother of Jesus. And as the brother of Jesus, he becomes a child of God. And when we go right back to the prologue of John, this is what John says, isn't it? He says, look, to all who received Jesus, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. This idea of a family being created was right back there in the prologue. And now here at the cross, the key moment of the cross, the most important moment of the cross, Jesus is saying, I'm creating a new family. And you, Mary, and you, John, are the first to have that special new relationship between each other as the family of God. And significant as well, when Mary Magdalene is the first one to see Jesus, Jesus tells her to go to the disciples. Except he doesn't say go and tell the disciples. He says this. He says, go instead to my brothers. And that's the first time in John's Gospel that Jesus calls his disciples my brothers. In other words, the cross has changed things. The cross has created a new family relationship where we are the children of God. God is our Father. Jesus is our big brother. And we are connected with each other as a family is connected. The cross creates a new family. But it's not just about the spiritual significance of that. We do see, don't we, that John takes Mary into his home to look after her. There is a practical outworking of what Jesus says to John and to Mary. Mary is cared for, she is looked after as a result. And that's not to contradict what's being said about the cross creating this new spiritual family. No, the spiritual family has practical implications. Becoming a Christian means you become part of this new spiritual family, you become part of the church. It doesn't mean you forget about your old family obligations. No, naturally and rightly, we care for those that we're closely related to. That's the way we're created to be. We should look out for our brothers and sisters, our parents and our children. No, what's new is that we have a new family as well. And just as we care for our other family, our human family, we should care for our spiritual family. So how do you care for those that are other Christians around you? Do you look out for them and their needs and seek to support them when they need it? As we come out of lockdown, many people are excited to be able to see family members, and that's good and great, that's right. But actually as Christians, shouldn't we also be excited to see our Christian family? Particularly when we are allowed to gather properly in a large gathering when the lockdown is completely released. Shouldn't we be looking forward and longing to be together with our family again? What Jesus creates on the cross makes a difference to who we are. It changes our relationships and makes us part of a new family. We've got new mothers, new brothers, new sisters, new children. Not that we lose the old ones, but through the cross, we have a whole new family. As ever, please use the questions on the screen as aids to your own reflection as you think more fully about what we've been talking about. I'm going to leave them on the screen, but do pause the video so you can have the questions there for your use.